Welcome back to another video. Today we will have a look at Nekros and all of his cute little minions. Why Nekros? Because Nekros will be in the next Prime Resurgence. Nekros is well known for one of the best loot frames in the game, but besides that we do have an army. We have an army of little goblins, minions, whatever you want to call it. We can be a Nekromancer, we can summon the dead. So why not testing that, since people do like to summon. We will not summon cabals, I will not do that, but we will summon little minions. But besides that, if you want to like see more, we do have Twitch, we do have Discord if you want to like check that out. But besides that, let's check that out. Make sure that, you know, we will have fun as soon as Nekros is rolling around. Make sure that you farm your ire. And make sure to take care of your little minions. We don't want to make, you know, have them die, because we do like to be a Nekromancer, right? So thank you so much, keep watching and have fun. Where to farm Nekros? You do farm Nekros from the Lefantes assassination on Demos. Other than that, it is in Taviri if you don't want to like farm it. But it's still like a boss you have to do anyway. So good luck with that. Try to run it public if you struggle alone. Otherwise, Taviri is an option. And obviously for the Prime, we will have Nekros, as I told you, as the next Prime Resurgence. Nekros' first ability is called Soul Punch. Technically, it is actually like a punch with energy. And when you kill an enemy with it, you already summon one of your little minions. If you have less than 25% of the health, it is technically a form of execution. And you will automatically summon... Oh. It is ragdolling. I think that's like the biggest issue. You're actually like ragdolling. There we go. You're actually ragdolling your enemies a lot with it. It does have its synergy with Shadows of the Dead, because it does, you know, count for your 4. And while it does have, you know, a noticeable sound effect, it is considered a silent ability. So as long as you kill with it, enemies will not be alerted. Obviously, if you just hit them and they are not dying, they are alerted. And you can use it while you are in the air. You're not like bound to cast it. The second ability is called Terrify. You literally spook enemies. Like, literally. In armor strips, you need 167% armor strip without corrosive protection. With corrosive protection, you need 137% armor strip to get it fully. Usually they would run away. They are not shooting anymore. And if you recast it, the cast will mostly apply first to enemies that are till now not affected by Terrify, before they are like aiming at enemies that are affected by it. It can be recasted, as you obviously see, so that is not too bad. And it is Nekros' Helmet ability. Desecrate. Desecrate, I think, is the most well-known ability of Nekros. It is the loot ability. It has in total a 54% chance to drop more loot. It will stack with all other loot abilities in the game, which means Ivara, Atlas, Hydroid, Kara, Wukong, Chaser, and technically other Nekros. What does it mean with other Nekroses? That means if there are like more bodies on the field, then one Nekros can technically have a chance on to proc Desecrate on. What exactly how many that needs to be, I can't tell you, but that is when Nekros are stacking. I still would say a Kara, a Nova, and one Nekros is all you need, and then maybe for comfort a Dante, but a Dante Spectre will also do it. So if you want to run 2 Nekros, that is up to you, but it's not needed. In total, you will see like a whole table on the internet, what you can like actually double. You can't double a Reactant, by the way, just so you know. That is one of the few things that you're not doubling. And it is a channeling ability, that which means you're either draining your energy when you don't have the argument, or if you have the argument, you do drain your health per corpse, per dead corpse. Which you then need to like replenish. For the fourth ability. Fourth ability is the Shadow of the Dead. You literally summon yourself a total or like a maximum of 7 little minions. As you see, they are taking down health per second. That is influenced by duration, so they will take down slower if you have more duration. If you recast your ability, you will actually not recast more of them, but you will heal them. So that's sometimes maybe a little bit of an issue because you have to actually let them completely die before you can have minions that are like stronger level, because you will always summon the ones that were just on the field. So you kill them and then you summon them, right? That is the idea behind that. The animation of them being like the second recast when you have a maximum of 7 is slower than the initial recast, but in total you still would prefer to have a form of like casting speed on it, either by natural talent or by Meta-Rai or by casting speed shots. You can also, for example, heal them with the Magistar, or for example with Vazarin. That is also like, an option. There is a specific summoning priority what the game is choosing. I will leave you the link in the description box so you can like actually check out if you're interested in that. In addition to that, if you want to like know that, there are like, some interesting little tips for that. For example, if you get a ancient healer or corrupted ancient, you will grant nearby allies damage reduction, or an ancient disruptor, you will provide magnetic resistance. So there are like some interesting facts if you try to get specific little minions, but that might be interesting for like a longer type of mission. To pay attention to that might be a bit harder if you are not used to that type of playstyle. Nekros Augments. Nekros' first argument is called Soul Survivor. This allows Nekros to use Soul Punch on allies while they are like down to revive them with partial health. The argument for the second ability is called Creeping Terrify, and affected enemies have a 60% reduced movement speed. The argument for the third ability is called Dispel. I think that is the most well-known argument because that will help you a lot. For Desecrate, you will no longer consume your energy but your health. So you do want to go with a lot of health instead. For each body that is being consumed by Desecrate, you will lose 10 health instead of energy. The argument for the fourth ability is called Shield of Shadows. Each shadow within 50 meter takes 6% of the damage done to Nekros in his stat. That will help you significant for tanking if you wanted to. That is an option. I find running double argument always a bit hard because none of these are fitting in the Exilizer slot. So make it fit while you can rather also run adaptation, which probably has way more value because you can go up to 90% of damage reduction. Via that is the question, what is worth more for you? Obviously, if you don't have the capacity or if you don't have the reach for adaptation, then it would be like an option, especially because thanks to recasting, you can heal your shadows. So then it would maybe be an option, but I still think that adaptation is a better way to do it. For builds. Nekros is one of the best loot frames in the game. What does it mean? Actually, with his third ability, he does have a specific amount of loot. He has a chance of 54% to drop per killed enemy extra loot. It is a channeled ability, just so you know, certain ways of regen energy, because technically you do drain your energy to get that loot, will not work. But don't worry, because due to his argument, no longer consumes energy, but consumes 10 health per corpse instead. So that actually sounds a lot, but for that, to fix it, we do have a specific build. We do run Arcane Blessing, because we do get a lot of health from that. Technically, if you don't have Arcane Blessing, obviously you can run Vitality, any form of Vitality, whatever you want to use. To be a little bit extra tanky, to make sure, whenever we run higher type of content, we do run Eclipse. In addition to that, we do run Prime Redirection, Vigilant Vigor, and Fast Deflection as recharge mods together with Aegis. That is optional. If you don't have Aegis, you can run here whatever you want. You can run a Arcane to buff your weapon damage. And adaptation, simply, that little bit of extra buffing together with Eclipse. For aura mod, I currently run corrosive projection. If you want here something else, that is up to you. An option would be, once again, an aura mod for your weapons, or Warframe camaraderie, or growing power, for example. Brief respite, by the way, I would not suggest too much. You can definitely run it if you wanted to. That you would probably shield gate with Eclipse, but it's necessary, not directly needed. You can also probably do, because we do run indirectly a health setup. You could do a mecha build if you wanted to, but also that is not really needed, because your main focus here is in the end. You want the loot, and as a Nekros, you want to be lazy. You usually just stand around, and if you get hit, and you want to survive that hit. And you do need a lot of health, because when you stand around, right, and you're getting hit, you need to be careful. Because when a lot of bodies will fall, what usually happens, for example, if you are in steer path survival, there will be a lot of bodies. We do want to run Argo Reach and Stretch for a little bit of extra range on your 3. And simply Duration for comfort for your 1 and your 3. For Gloom, why do I have a Gloom build? That is a bit of a specific setup. I will tell you that. I use that to farm Thumpers. If you ever need to farm Thumpers, Gloom slows down the Thumper. Yes, technically you can use Nova. I never had really the feeling if Nekros applied to Thumper or not. The last time I checked, and I say specifically the last time I checked, I will not tell you right now if it applies or not. The last time I checked, Nekros were supposed to apply to it. But as we all know, Thumper farming is something that is, if you all know the Well of Life perk, or those who know, Thumpers are a bit of a specific thing in the game. But Gloom, to slow them down, to have Gloom as effect, you do need indeed to have a bit of strength. That's why we're running Blind Rage, to have that little bit extra. To not get knocked down, we do run Sure-Footed and Fortitude. If you have Prime Sure-Footed, you run Prime Sure-Footed. Since we do run around open world, we do run Prime Flow and Equilibrium together with Energize. Vitality and Blessing to make extra sure we have enough. That's actually not needed, because we will not have our D-Spell active on too much enemies, right? Stretch just in case our Thumper is running out of, the range. Rolling Guard for the oopsies as always. And here I use Growing Power. That is up to you, but I wanted to have a little bit of extra strength for the Gloom. That is, if you like that setup, you can absolutely test it. As you all know, by the way, for these two, for shards, do run whatever you want. I could suggest you, but it's not really needed, especially for this build, to maybe run casting speed is not really needed. You can either run casting speed, you can run a little bit more duration, you could run more armor if you wanted, you can run blue shots for more energy, you can run whatever type of shots you wanted. There's nothing really specific you have to run on the loot. You can also run more health if you wanted to just make sure. But Blessing is really carrying, so don't worry too much about it, especially if you don't forget to move back and forth to actually collect the health. So, 4-4. When I'm talking about the 4, specifically about the Shadows of the Dead. Our little goblins, we don't do the work, our goblins are doing the work. Not really fully, you still have to do a little bit of work. To boost our goblins, I choose to go for Nourish. If you don't want to use Nourish, a great other way to do is Eclipse and then use the argument Total Eclipse, obviously. You do need to use Total Eclipse. Without Total Eclipse, the Eclipse buff will not apply to your minions. Nourish in general is applying to them, so that's why I personally prefer Nourish, because the setup. You use Summoner, Wrath, and you use Kamisado. Why do I not use the Kavat system? Because I don't want to have to step every 5 seconds someone with a mercy kill to get more Kavats up. I will be honest. I think playing around the 4 is absolutely enough for any way of summoning. Okay. To be tanky, we do play Adaptation and Health Conversion. We do have Equilibrium for energy. We do have stretch for a bit more range. You will use the range both for the 4 and for Desecrate. Once again, Despell. Despell will actually help us a lot with our energy economy. Duration for our 4. What is interesting that the duration will also affect how slow the health drain is. So if you have more duration, means less slower drain per second. And then strength. Strength will actually affect, obviously, our nourish, but also like how strong the shadows are, both for shield multiplier, health multiplier, and damage multiplier, and obviously summoner. Here I would put in sure-footed, but it doesn't fit currently in my build, I will be honest. And if you do have an ancient healer, you will be protected. If you are in general protected, like with Trinity, we would not need to test that. For shards, I would highly suggest to run minimum 1 yellow Tauforge casting speed. Minimum 1 blue Tauforge energy. If you don't have these bronze as Tauforge, I would suggest to run 2 blue energy and 2 yellow casting speed. I think I do actually run 2 Tau blue energy and 2 normal yellow casting speed and 1 red duration to make it more comfortable, because the 4 is a really slow cast. And it's also really it's also really energy hungry, especially with Blind Rage on. And the base energy is really slow. And I could not fit actually flow in this build. So either you run an Equilibrium shard and hope that thanks to Desecrate it will be enough. Or put flow in here, or you do run 2 blue shards. That is up to you. As a beginner build. Beginners, as always, I do prefer Dreamer's Bond. Why Dreamer's Bond? Dreamer's Bond is simply available as a quest reward. If you have Despell, I simply will tell you 2 ways. If you have Despell, so you already have the argument that it now consumes health. We obviously want to run Vitality with Equilibrium to make sure that whenever we're picking anything up, it will replenish our health, right? Steel Fiber simply to make us a little bit healthier, or like tankier, right? Flow for have a better energy. Equilibrium, obviously make it easier. Stretch to affect Desecrate and Shadows of the Dead. Intensify for the strength of our shadows, and duration once again for the slower drain, right? If you don't have Despell, what you will do is instead of Vitality, Steel Fiber, and Despell, what you will do is you will run Redirection. Where is it? Fast Deflection and Vigilant Vigor. So you will make sure that you have a way higher shield capacity with both shield recharge mods, so that your shield that is now being drained for Desecrate is being constantly replenished, and you have a higher, a stronger pool to pull from. Okay? That is the other way. Obviously, if you have the option, once again, for Natural Talent, that will be also a great option. Natural Talent is a mod that helps you with casting speed. It's a bit annoying to get, I will be honest with you, but that one would be great to use in general. You might want to then drop Vigilant Vigor, but that is up to you. That is something that you would need to figure out and test around for yourself.